New ruling by the Supreme Court is allowing Virginia officials to remove 1,600 alleged non-citizens from its state voter registration rolls. Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin is calling the decision a victory for common sense, while civil rights groups argue it suppresses voting rights. They say the ruling violates the National Voting Rights Act of 1993, which prevents states from removing eligible voters from registration lists 90 days before a federal election. ABC News senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer joins me now for more on this. Devin, break down this ruling for us. What's the latest here?
Diane, the Supreme Court overturned two lower courts yesterday, and they didn't explain their decision, but we do know that 6 conservative justices were in favor of allowing Virginia to move forward. The 3 liberal justices dissented, and what it means is that the state can move forward with removing 1,600 voters from the registration list. That means any of those voters who cast a mail-in ballot, that ballot will be invalid, not counted. If any of those voters show up at a polling place for early voting or on November 5th, they'll be turned away. They won't be on the list eligible to vote. That said, the state of Virginia does allow same-day registration for anyone who may have been erroneously caught up in this purge. They could still vote, but for the lion's share of those 1,600 people, Diane, they effectively cannot vote next Tuesday unless they take some additional action.
So they are alleged non-citizens. How are officials in Virginia going about identifying and confirming that these people are not citizens?
And therein lies the controversy here, because Virginia compiled this list, Diane, based on state DMV records. And those records are, when you sign up for a driver's license, you have to check on their citizen or non-citizen. Virginia went into its DMV files. They pulled all the people who either checked non-citizen or left that box blank and compiled this list and said, well, these are non-citizens. Not necessarily. As you can imagine, if you've ever applied for a driver's license, they last sometimes 5-10 years. So certainly there are a number of people on that list, it's been confirmed now, who are newly naturalized citizens who weren't citizens at the time they applied for their driver's license, so they can vote. Other people erroneously left the box unchecked or got confused, checked it the wrong way. Citizens who are now caught up in this. So just because there's a big list doesn't mean all those people are undocumented and ineligible voters. And that's the big controversy around this case and others around the country.
Devin, it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote. So would they have had to prove citizenship when they registered to begin with? What protections are in place to prevent this from happening?
Yeah, there's no federal requirement that you have to prove your citizenship to register to vote in a federal election, Diane. That said, you do have to attest in every state that you are a citizen when registering to vote. That's what we were just talking about here. If you lie on that box when you check citizen and you are not, you can be put in prison for up to a year. You can be deported if you are a non-citizen. And if you are an immigrant, you can be denied future legal immigration status. So the penalty for doing this is high, and that's why a number of immigrant advocates say that all of these claims of non-citizens registering to vote in large numbers is simply way overblown. The evidence isn't there, and the penalties alone are so intimidating to a lot of these folks that they don't want to risk their status.
So let's talk a little bit more about that, Devin, because former President Trump has repeatedly claimed that Democrats are encouraging illegal immigrants to vote in the election. So what does the data show on that?
Well, the data is remarkably clear, Diane, that non-citizen voting is vanishingly rare, and we have poured into a number of studies conducted by groups on the right and the left. I'll give you one. The Conservative Heritage Foundation has compiled a database of confirmed cases of non-citizens voting. Over 1 billion ballots cast over a decade, they found fewer than 100 cases, Diane. So this is a really small number of people. It does happen, but not in the scale of the level that many conservatives allege.
All right, senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.